All right, you're very welcome this morning for Issues at Hand. My name is Kalule Nowamani. Thank you so much for being a part of Family TV. And we are growing as a family as well as enriching lives. Now, today, we take a look at a topic that, of course, is one of our very, very crucial ones, and that is the school programs, especially in our country where we have the leading board of examinations, and that is Uganda National Examinations Board. Joining me today is Miss Jennifer Kalule Musamba, for the Principal Public Relations Officer of Uganda National Examinations Board. You're welcome to the studio.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
To be here. Very good morning to everybody, all our dear listeners, all the family members. We praise the Lord for this day, and we are grateful that it's a great day and we're here, we are alive.
Okay, a very pressing issue that I would like to start with. We saw an extend of the deadlines of registration from 31st of May 2023 down to tomorrow, which is 7th of June 2023. Why did that happen?
Two things. One, the Uganda National Examinations Board is a it's a national assessment body. We have just one body for the primary, secondary assessment level, and one set of examinations throughout the year, such that if somebody misses out registering, then they are going to miss out the entire year. It's a wasted year. So we had to respond to the needs of the people. And at the time, there was a concern that not enough candidates had been able to register. So we got requests from parents and heads of centers asking us for an extension because children were just coming back from school. So they were just trying to put things together. The money is for registration. And the board did consider that. That is why we put an extension for an extra week to allow more people to be able to register, because we don't want any learner to be left out. We don't want anybody who is supposed to register this year to be left out, and that is basically our main purpose. No learner should be left out. And we are conscious of the fact that you're not a candidate until you have duly registered. So being in primary 7 on P or in senior 4, in senior 6 doesn't qualify you to be a candidate until you are duly registered. And that is the reason why we had to do the extension. And it has paid off. We've seen more people come on board. We've seen the registration numbers increase. We've seen even more. We also had some centers which had there's a ceiling to how many learners you can be able to have at your center, and some of them had reached their limit and weren't able to register more candidates. But because of this extension, we've had more. The board has had to give extensions to a number of centers, so more centers have been able to register more candidates, and yes, we are almost there.
Okay, I want to understand, is it an everyday practice for this deadline to be extended? Because I think it's the first of its kind in a number of years. Was it caused by the COVID delay, or why this year particularly?
Not really. I think we always try to extend, because you see from experience, that is why we have late registration and even latest registration. From experience, always somehow the people who don't register on time, like any other really, even if you called for it, you always have the laggards. People will always come late. So from experience, people always come and ask for an extension. Please do this. We weren't able to register because of XYZ.
Okay.
But you see, it comes with a price. There is a surcharge, and we want to cater for that category. They are not able to register because maybe they are still looking around for the monies, or XYZ happened and all that. So we wanted more people to be able to register during this period, what we call normal registration, so we do not have them pay a surcharge.
There is this group of students, I'll call them disturbed students. They'll delay in registration, not because, of course, like you say, not because of anything, but the natural stuff that happens to an everyday person. But some people go as late as July in registration. Do you allow that as UNEB?
Yes, it is
in extreme cases.
Painfully, by the way, because the data for registration is what forms a basis for our planning. When we receive this data, we have to clean it up. We have to make sure that all everything is clean. We have to make sure it's what we use for our planning purposes. So we want it to be as early as possible, because when it comes in late, it affects our planning and we are not able to deliver on time. So yes, we want, and that is why we want as many people to register during this period to facilitate our planning purposes.
Okay.
But then we have those laggards who come in June. So we still that's why we have a surcharge, because it really costs SAS, by the way. So we have a surcharge for the people who are going to register in June, from the 8th of June to the 30th of June. There's going to be a surcharge of 50% for PLE and rather for UCE and USCE, but for PLE it's going to be 100%. And then the late registration in July, it's going to be 100% because we really want to discount.
So they pay twice as much as the early birds paid.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you have the statistics of how much UNEB uses as a body to organize examinations, say for primary living or advanced education, as well as senior 4?
One, I wouldn't put the I wouldn't have that breakdown. Yeah, the exact breakdown. What I can tell you is that the money that we use for the money that we ask for registration is what caters for all the processes until the learner receives their results slip and their certificate for UCE and for USCE. So that money that you pay for is what we use. So just to give you a brief overview, for instance, it caters for the examination for the examiners. Like right now, after receiving the registration figures, we are going to begin training examiners, because now we know how many examiners do we need for which subject and all that. So we train the examiners, and later on we make sure they do the marking and everything, and we have to accommodate them. We have to feed them.
On that same budget?
That same budget. That is the money. It's what we use to transport the examinations. There is a primary school almost in every village in this country. And we have to make sure, if PLE mathematics starts this morning at 9 o'clock, for instance, we make sure every school, every center in every village starts at that particular time. So we have to make sure we deliver. The transport is there, the invigilators, the scouts, everything you can talk about in the management, and then the printing of the scripts. The printing of the examination papers and of the scripts. Of course, for PLE, is the exam paper is the script paper as well. But then for the others, it is you have to have the scripts separately and then the examination papers, and then the setting of the papers, the editing, the packaging, the entire process. Everything is in that until finally the learner has the result slip or their certificate in their hands. For UCE and for USCE, we have both the result slip, which is the initial, and then we have the certificate. And these are personalized. They have their own they have their photographs there, which is why we want to insist at this point in time, when we are doing the registration, we want to ask the people who are in charge of registration, please make sure you get the biodata correctly. Make sure the picture which is appended to the name of the learner is the actual picture, and it is the right, correct resolution. It is clear enough, because eventually that is what is going to appear on their result slip or on their certificate. Thereafter, once you finish submitting, we aren't going to adjust. We aren't going to come back and tell us, this is a wrong picture, by the way. We will not do that. So we want to ask everybody who is responsible for registering candidates, please take note. Make sure that you have the correct biodata first and foremost. We are talking about the names, the spelling of names. This is very important. We're talking about the spelling of names. We're talking about the order of names. We're talking about the date of birth. This is very critical, the correct date of birth. Make sure that if somebody was born, let's say on the 4th of June 2020, 4th of June, you don't say they were born on the 6th of April. Just in case it happens, go back and check. And right now, we are asking heads of centers, we are asking people responsible for registering candidates. Thank you so much. You have been able to submit to our portal. But if you can, please go back and clean and look through and see, are there any queries? Are there any mistakes? Are there any amendments which need to be done? In case they are there, then you please inform us, because after submission, it becomes UNEB data. You aren't able to make the amendments yourself. But let us know. We have 2 email addresses, both for primary and for secondary. For primary, you write to eregprimary@uneb.ac.ug.
EREC is E-R-E-C.
E-R-E-G. As in short of registration, yeah.
Okay.
E-R-E-G. Yes. At UNEB primary@uneb.ac.ug, and you will be able to kind of indicate to us that, I need to make an amendment in XYZ. These index numbers, we need to make amendments in these index numbers.
But they can do it now in this time, not later, like in July, August.
They can do it until July 31st, and there they will not have to pay a surcharge. After July 31st, they will have to pay a fine, because really it's taking our planning out of hand. But the bottom line is we want to have correct data in as much as possible. For those of you who are yet to submit, we want to ask you, please, before you submit, call the learners, let them come and ask them, look at this data. Is your name rightly spelled? Is this your date of birth? You can make a printout and let them be able to see for themselves. Let them make the corrections, let them confirm. And if possible, even sign and confirm that actually this is the correct data they have submitted. So you have clean data. Because the moment we have unclean data at this stage, it's going to affect the learners all the way. So we want to emphasize the issue of correctness of data.
Okay, let's talk about the numbers. How many students are you looking at as a total? Primary, secondary, and higher education. How many are those this year?
Well, right now, as I speak, as of this morning, I was still trying to see how many had registered. But giving the project, usually what happens if you look at the projections, let's say for the previous year. So far, as of yesterday, we had close to 733 629 who had registered. And that is for primary living examinations.
But registration is going on.
It's going on.
Okay.
And it keeps changing. The figures keep changing by day by day. We expect to get at least 800. Because last year we had 832.
In total?
No, that's just for primary.
Oh, for primary.
In total, we had about 1,280,000 for last year.
Okay.
And ideally, we expect to have at least a 3% increase. So that means if last year we had 1.2 roughly, then maybe this time we shall have close to maybe 1, depending really. We don't want to really put a finger at that, but we want to see by closure of business tomorrow. Let's see what will happen. Okay. But also, actually, because now re-registration ends on 31st July with the late registration, we still consider them. So we do not consider the work done until we have actually closed registration.
Okay. Some of the people that do these overlook the doing of these exams were not in class while the syllabi was being taught. How does UNEB make sure that what was taught in the classrooms is what is on paper, is what somebody in Chiriandongo who did the paper, somebody in Nakapipit who did the same paper gets the same exact maybe treatment from UNEB? Because how do you know that these students really studied the things that are in those papers, the UNEB papers?
Oh, okay, thank you. First and foremost, UNEB is an agency in the Ministry of Education. And the Ministry of Education, there are different agencies who do different activities. We all have our own niche. Now, our niche is assessment. However, what we assess is not decided by us. It is determined by the National Curriculum Development Center. Now they go ahead and set the curriculum, which is shared everywhere. Even last year when they had to use maybe the abridged curriculum, it is shared with all the schools. And then we are able to, we set our exams based on the curriculum. Even after at the end of the examination season, we come back to make an assessment. So we have Ministry of Education, we have the Standards Division, for instance, we have National Curriculum Development Center, we have the universities. We come together and say, okay, fine, UNEB, in Geography Paper 1, what was in the curriculum? What did you set? What are the comments? So there's that assessment to make sure are we actually on track. Now for the schools, the critical thing is they all have access to the curriculum. Okay, it's available on the National Curriculum Development Center website, and even in the Ministry of Education, they get all those documents. So I mean, you cannot, like when we were coming here, for instance, we had a topic. You and I knew we were going to talk about examination registration. So if you're going to teach, you know what you are going to based on the curriculum, and all professional teachers are able to do that. Okay. And we want to emphasize very much that now that you've finished registration, teachers, please go ahead and make sure teaching and learning actually takes place. Do your bit and teach the students. Let them be able to learn and comprehend. Let's teach them, help them, assist them to comprehend the issues thereby based on the curriculum. And once we do that, we will not get issues of examination malpractice, because malpractice usually happens because of inadequate teaching and learning. The teachers are unsure of what they have been teaching. The candidates are not sure if they're actually up to date. So there's panic, and that is when they begin trying to look for Usasi here and there and all that. However, if you have effective teaching and learning taking place, then you're not going to have scares of examination malpractice, and that is very critical for us. Thank you so much for registering candidates this far. Now, please make sure we have effective teaching and learning taking place at all levels. We still have enough time. Exams will begin maybe in October, mid-October for UCE, and then maybe first week of November for primary. So you are free to teach until the briefing day, the day of the briefing. So let's help these learners. Let's make sure we avoid chances of examination malpractice by ensuring that teaching and learning actually takes place in our schools.
All right, let's go for a short break. When we return, we are going to look at how many centers are there and what it takes to open up a center. Stay with us. All right, you're welcome back to Issues at Hand. My name is Carol. We are in studio with, of course, Miss Jennifer Kalule Musamba, Principal Public Relations at Uganda National Examinations Board. We are discussing schools and examinations at large, and we are getting to know the issues. We stopped at malpractices. Let's get a bit into that and understand what are some of the common malpractices. We know them, but maybe there are some of them that are new by the time we finish school.
Oh, so tell me what they were when you were in school.
What they were, actually, where I studied, we didn't have the cases. But we would hear that a school has been closed, a center has been closed because of those malpractices.
Like which one?
Carrying sheets in class. So someone puts a sheet like here, the teacher gets it, the invigilator finds it, and then communicating during exam time, which was not allowed.
Okay. Those are of course
the main ones.
Those are the usual ones. Yes, like for instance, like you assist or even assisting each other, trying to assist each other in an examination room. That is also a malpractice. And like you said, the smuggled material, you're moving in the examination room with the smuggled material. That is a malpractice. But then the worst form right now, they're getting modified. We have impersonation. Of late, it's coming up so much, and it actually, we think it happens during the time of registration, like right now. Like say Carol registers and Jennifer registers, but maybe Jennifer is in senior 5 but registering as senior 4, knowing very well that when the results come out, they are going to belong to Carol. So instead of saying that I'm Carol Chisache, for instance, I'll say I'm Jennifer. Maybe you say you are Jennifer Kalule or something like that. So there's impersonation. You are impersonating.
But we have pictures taken. We have passport photos on this.
Yes, we are taking it. Well, those are some of the measures we are taking. And you see some of them, they think they are going to come and tell us that you see, my picture was put on the wrong person. My picture was put on Carol's picture.
Use that as an excuse.
And that is why we are telling the head teachers or whoever is registering candidates, please make sure you submit the correct data right now. With pictures, the moment you do not submit a correct picture and you come after and tell us that by the way Jennifer's picture was wrongly appended against Carol's name, we are not going to change that. We are going to print Carol's certificate with Jennifer's picture, because we know schools are using it as a channel for examination malpractice. So at times we are very strict with our procedures, simply because we want to uphold the integrity of our certificates. We want to make sure that our certificates are credible. We want to make sure that wherever a Ugandan goes, wherever somebody presents a UNEB certificate, it will be credible wherever you're going to go anywhere in the world. We strive to be a recognized center of excellence everywhere, and by the grace of God, nobody has presented a UNEB certificate anywhere on the globe and it is rejected. So we want to uphold that, and that is why we want to ask everybody to join us to fight examination malpractice. Because you may think it doesn't affect you, however, it's going to affect your certificate, it's going to affect your children. You may go somewhere and you want a job in the UN and just saying, your UNEB, we hear there's malpractice in Uganda, and your credentials will be doubted, and we do not want that to happen. That is why we want everybody to join us, and keep saying it is a joint responsibility. Together, we think we can be able to fight malpractice.
Of course, there is the student that schools also want to pass and make their name strong. There's this.
Let them teach.
Let them do that. Put in the work.
Effective teaching and learning is the bottom line. By the way, the students, they have enough knowledge. God has given us enough wisdom, enough knowledge, and capacity to pass according to our competencies. So the best thing for the teachers to make sure you teach according to the curriculum. And by the way, because like I said, it's the curriculum, it's the whole thing. Like let's say like at senior 4 level, for instance, we do not set exams for the final year. It is for the entire 4 years, from senior 1 to senior 4.
Number 1 is usually easy to me. It's usually from senior 1 or something. Hey.
So really, if you've been teaching these learners all this time, then there's no need to panic.
But there are schools that have been said to access UNEB papers before that time. So there are schools that they get the papers before.
I wonder how that happens.
They get the papers before they know what is going to come, and they end up passing highly, way more than other schools. Can that really be possible?
I want to assure you, first and foremost, as a board, integrity is one of our core values. We do everything possible. The board will do whatever it takes to protect the integrity of the examinations, protect the integrity of our processes, as well as the certificates. Because basically, the outcome of our assessment is certification. And we want to make sure that the certificate we issue to our learners are recognized and they are credible. So we do everything possible, whatever it takes, to protect the credibility of these certificates.
All right.
I don't know what that allegation means. I don't know how they claim to receive it, because I'll tell you, even myself, the only way I can get to see the paper is when I go to do the scouting and I'm looking at I'm trying to look around, move around the classroom when the candidates are doing the examination. That is when I get to see the paper the first time. At the time, we have a tight system such that the people who are involved, who are doing the final, who are doing the final selection, who are like the final section of the examination papers, the proofreading, the printing, and all, because we have our own printery. So these people are actually incommunicado for quite some time to make sure that there's no leakage. So at the time of the examination, it is I think it's only the executive director who knows what the actual paper that is going to come up. And we have a tight security system right from the time of transportation. We have our own containers in the various stations or districts. We have tight security. That's what I can talk about. I'm not at liberty to discuss the details, but just be rest assured that we have tight security, and I can guarantee you nobody can access that paper before it's time to do it. And of course we have now, like we had a case, I think last year, for PLE mathematics, where during the transportation from one of the centers, I think it was in Butambala, the transporter, the one who was transporting it, they tried to unseal the envelope, and but before they could take pictures, because we had been by the grace of God, we had been alerted. We had our whistleblowers out there who had alerted us that XYZ is going to happen. So before they could do any damage, they were apprehended, and we had police and we had the security guys out there. So it is at that point that someone can try between the station, the transition, the transportation. But even then, we try our level best to guard it so tightly.
Interesting. Now, how about the issue of the teachers themselves who set? Because of course it's the executive director only who knows what is coming. I don't think he can leak them, but the teachers who set them, or they are not sure whether their questions are coming.
First, yes, like you said, we have a bank, a question bank of a number of questions that are good. So examiners, like for instance, now we have people who have been doing item writing. They've been around and they're developing the various items and the questions and everything, and it's put in a question bank. And now finally, it's the ED and maybe the responsible person for the subject head, who are going to determine which questions are going to be decided, which are going to be set, and the subject head is going to be locked up incommunicado. So it is only the ED who can come out. So they're the ones who are going. They can choose to pick from wherever. Okay. From, I don't know, maybe a question here, a question here, a question here, a question here. Of course, like humans, and you are an examiner, you can use your instinct and say maybe this is like to come. It's okay to spot. We all did spot. There's no crime, and it's not an offense to do spotting. It's not an offense to do crime work. It's not an offense. That's not a malpractice as far as we are concerned. concerned. However, the examiners cannot decide, and they're not able to know what questions are going to come.
Okay, that is.
And they also taught, because they go through by very rigorous training. The UNEB examiners, for me, I respect them a lot. Examiners of UNEB out there, I'm telling you personally, and as a board, we respect you quite a lot, because they have high levels of integrity. These are people who have been in the profession for some time. They are there as a calling. A number of them don't just do it for the sake of doing it. They're actually called. They have a passion for the work that they're doing. And they pay attention to detail. I'll give you an example. For instance, we can get a scout report indicating that there was a malpractice in this center, maybe smuggled material, or a candidate was talking to each other, or maybe there was external assistance. And the scout is going to make a report. And the examiners, they are in their marking, they're able to identify and say, we are smelling a rat. We think there's likely to be malpractice here. And you see, the report of the examiner, the report of the scout are actually talking the same language, and they're talking to each other, and they did not meet. For me, that is where I respect UNEB examiners. They are, it's top notch. By the way, I can assure you, they go through rigorous training, and I think the training that they go through, and then the experience they go through, and by virtue of the fact that many of them are caught and they love their work, they really do a good job. And for me, I want to say thank you so much, our examiners, for a job well done. We do appreciate.
So in case you are out there and you're going to sit for your PLE, USCE or UCE, please be sure to read your books, because there is no malpractice. There's no opportunity. There's no Kasasi opportunity. But let's get to the centers. Do we have enough centers? If there are, how many are there? And what does it take for one to open up a center for examination?
Okay. Maybe I'll start from what you say. What does it take for one to open up an examination center? First and foremost, we have a criteria. You must have, well, I may not see it everything, but you must have enough space, for instance, to accommodate the learners that you have or the candidates you expect to host. You must have, it must be secure, for instance. The office of the head teacher is our central place, and it is very important for us to make sure that the head teacher's office is secure. That the school environment is secure, that you have enough sitting space for the learners, and it is safe. There's enough lighting, there's enough space, because we have UNEB did social distancing before COVID came. We have social distancing mechanism to, I think, between 1.5 to 2 meters between the learners. So you have to show us, if you say you have maybe 100 learners, do you have enough space? Do you have a hall big enough to accommodate these learners? If it's a UCE center or secondary center, do you have the laboratories? Are they in place? Are they functional? Do you have, or is it just that you just keep the things there or something like that? So there's a criteria, and centers, schools have got to apply. They apply, you express your interest so that you can be able to come, and our people will come and validate. They will come and do a verification and visit your center and see, do you have what it takes to host a center? Just in case there are things you need to make adjustments, they will tell you, please adjust X, Y, Z. Certain things administrative, and they can easily be adjusted. Others are long term. And our applications are done online. And each time every year we get new centers on board, because our candidature keeps on increasing. Actually, as I speak right now, we have new centers which we've just accredited, and they are being trained. We've been training since last week. We're training for PL, we trained for secondary. Right now we are training, I think, the last set of centers for primary, those who just applied for validation. So we keep upgrading, and we keep on adding new centers. So our next set of validation is going to be for 2024 examinations. For 2023, we have actually closed. However, in case you intend, you can actually go onto the website and you get the details as to what it takes to have a center. You start working towards that, and by January 2024, you apply to have an examination center.
Okay.
Right now, as I speak, we have a total of 20,834 centers. That is a total in all. That is for the primary. Whole of Uganda. Yes, in primary and secondary. And out of these, we have 14,755 are for primary, and then 3,826 are for UCE, that is senior 4, and 2,000 253, 253 for USCE. That's what we have right now. And a number of them have actually been able to register their learners. 96% of POE centers have registered their learners. 93% of UCE have registered their learners. And 88% of USCE have registered their learners.
Okay.
I now want to call upon the remaining ones, please. Between today and tomorrow for normal registration, please do whatever it takes. Let no learner be left behind. We want to appeal to head teachers as well. We have some head teachers who have refused learners from registering just because maybe they have outstanding dues or something. Yes, that's okay, we understand. However, UNEB examinations are once a year. It's a major gate in the life of these learners. It's a key opening in the destiny of this person. If you refuse them to register for this examination because of whatever amount of money, and they get the money tomorrow, you'd have wasted an entire lifetime for them. So I want to beg you, kindly allow these learners to register. Let them be able to register as you make arrangements on how they are going to make the payments. And then just in case we get to a point of releasing examinations and they have not paid up your monies, please, you ask us not to release their results until they are able to clear your dues, and then they'll be able to access their results.
That's allowed?
Blocking. Yes, we do that. We do that on behalf of our schools. We do that because we don't want any learner to be left behind, and we want us to work together. Please, parents, we ask you, do whatever it takes. Go to the school, talk to them, explain to them what the issue could be, and then teachers, heads of centers, directors, please, let's be parents. Let's be passionate. Most of them, they've been studying for the entire 7 years, for another 4 years, or even 2 years in school, and eventually they're not able to register. If you tell them to do late registration, by the time somebody is struggling to pay the normal registration fees or something like that, then late registration means that they're likely to be left out, and we do not want any learner to be left out. So we are making an appeal to parents, to teachers. Let's work together and make sure no learner is left behind. We want everybody to join in. Let everybody who is supposed to be registering for this year's examination register for it. Let us all know that we all have a responsibility. It's a duty. We are here in these positions of responsibility to serve these people. And one day, we are all going to be accountable. They are going to ask you, why did the learners under your care not register to exams on this during this year? So I want to appeal to everybody. We all know we are on duty. We are here to serve a nation. Let's do our bit and make sure that all our learners register for the examination.
Okay, on the issue of centers that are cancelled because of engaging in malpractices, what is the fate of those schools? Do they go out of business completely, or is there a penalty given to them and then they are revived after? What's the process there?
Well, it depends on the case, on the malpractice case, really. Not in all cases of malpractice that we have the centers withdrawn. Actually, UNEB cancels few of them because at times you get warned. There's first warning, second, they warn you, today you had a malpractice, we are warning you, make sure it doesn't happen again. Next time malpractice. It can get to a time when it can't be anymore. So yes, some cases, centers are suspended. At times they may be suspended they can say it may be suspended for a year or two, but also it depends, because we may find that the center was involved in malpractice, fine, but currently they have maybe so many learners and it's the only center available in that community. So in trying to cancel it, you are actually punishing the learners in that community, the student, the young people in that community, and the parents. So UNEB always puts that into consideration. But even in the event that the center has been cancelled, usually it's for a year or two, and just as a punishment, and then you are able to apply again, and of course show remorse and show that it's not going to happen again. But of course the bottom line is malpractice is a bad thing because it derails the integrity and the quality of our certificates. So whatever it is, please purpose not to get involved in examination malpractice.
Okay, and then there are students, of course, who study from Kenya. You find that the student just moved to Uganda at a later time in their education. How do you handle those students? Say they have different papers from somewhere and then they come to Uganda to continue their studies.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, we have a number of those learners. You find that when you are registering learners, let's say at secondary level, the results of PLE is a critical document, and that is why I want to call upon second parents, please make sure the data you avail for your primary 7 candidate is the correct data. In case there's a mistake, go back and amend it, because later on it's going to be used as a reference document. So we use it as a reference document. The POE document is used as a reference document for UCE. So in the event that somebody doesn't have a POE document, maybe they studied from another country or they were using an international system to study at that level, we're going to ask you to come to UNEB and we shall equate your results. We put them to the equivalent to confirm actually that you are able to join our system at that level. And then at the time of doing the examinations, we will come and we give you a code. And then that will enable you to register for our examination in our systems. And actually now I want to call upon the heads of centers and the heads of schools. When you are admitting learners who have been from another system, not a Ugandan system, please ask them to first come to UNEB and equate their results. Because if they do not, you may reach a point of them wanting to register for senior 4 exams, for instance, and we're telling you they do not qualify. So it is very critical before you admit them, kindly advise them to come to UNEB and equate their results so we can confirm, do they need to do P7 again, do they need to do senior 4 again, or can they qualify to go to this level? That is very important. So if you're registering and you have a friend, somebody who has foreign qualifications, please come to UNEB. We shall do the equating and help you to be able to register and join our system.
Okay, maybe lastly, what is the process of reviving my documents in case I lost them? Case in point, I myself lost my documents, and how much can it cost some money?
Okay, it's a very simple procedure. Of course, as a board, we do appreciate that people lose documents. Everybody can lose the documents. So there's a procedure, but simply what you need, you have to do it online. It's an online application, but you need to have a letter from your former school confirming that you, Carol, went to school XYZ. That was your index number and all that. After that, then you go ahead and get a police report, a police letter, which confirms that actually your document is lost. Once you do that, then you get us a copy of your national ID or your school ID or your passport, whatever document you have for as an acceptable ID. Then you go into our website, go to UNEB e-services. Once you get there, UNEB e-services, then you go to UNEB e-services, then you submit the documents, the letter from school, the police
ID,
letter, and then the national ID and the copy of your ID. And after submitting those ones, you will be given a payment code. The payment is 50,000 for a letter of verification, which is a replacement for a pass slip. And then if you want a hard card, which is a replacement for a certificate, it's going to be 100,000. Now, once you're applying, be very keen on the address. At times, depending on why you are applying for the letter of verification, if it's going to be like an institution, maybe you're going for further studies, or you're going for asking for a job, let's say here at Family TV, and they've asked you to verify your documents, then you may want to put the address of Family TV so that it's specifically addressed to Family TV. Right. If it's a university, it can be addressed specifically to a university. But if it's a generic one which you want to use everywhere, then it will be addressed to your head teacher. We do not address letters of verification to individuals. Like you won't say Carol, it won't be addressed to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jennifer Kalule Musamba, for that beautiful, beautiful conversation. Of course, we are issues at hand, and we thank you so much for being with us right from morning when we started until now. Of course, we have our social media platforms. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube, in Twitter. No, we don't have Instagram, but YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. You will find us there. You will find a lot of content for you there. Of course, coming up is other programs that you do not need to miss. Stay with us.